must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life. But whoever ignores correction leads others astray. That is in the Bible, Proverbs 10:17. The reason I am quoting this verse, fellow Kenyans, is because the figures that we are hearing today are a clear demonstration that things are not getting better. And people who are telling others that things are better are lying to them. And somehow, somewhere along the line, we seem to have come to the conclusion as a society that things have gone back to normal. Today's figures show things are far, far from normal. Things are very challenging. And those who are exhibiting the indiscipline that I've referred to, leading others astray, are becoming a common phenomenon.
The government of the Republic of Kenya has made efforts, concerted guidelines, and put it out to the public of the Republic of Kenya and the citizens of Kenya. Looking at the trend of what is happening and the events that are shaping around the modeling and the sample modeling of, and a comparison with other states in the world, globally Kenya has done very well. But there seems to be a culture of sliding back, a culture where people want to go back to their old habits. What destroys such an exercise? What brings it to a situation where people need to understand that it is not gone yet, it is here. The virus is here, is with us, is an invisible enemy. An invisible enemy for the people of Kenya to understand that they must help themselves, not to help the government, but to help themselves to fight the enemy. If we don't unite to fight the enemy, if we slide back to our habits, our behaviors, our eating pattern, our socializing pattern, our praying pattern, our stigma, fear, complacency, impunity, these are the things that are letting down Kenya and most of the parts of Africa. It is therefore my opinion, and our opinion, and the opinion of many other people who are at the forefront in fighting this disease, that the people of Kenya stand firm against the few individuals who are violating the regulations, the guidelines, the restrictions that the government has put in place. Your failure to agree or to abide by these regulations might force the government to take more drastic measures that we might not know because we are not part and parcel of the government. But as the media, we sound what the government has said. Failure to adhere to these principles and guidelines could increase the multiplication or multiply the disease, reproduce the disease in the community. The cases of Isli, the cases of Mombasa, Majengo, where people still eat food in one common place as if they don't know what social distancing is. such acts, barbaric acts, when you have been actually given the guidelines that this disease enjoys where there is company of being together, that this disease kills when you shake hands, that this disease kills when you cough without covering your arm, with the arm, that this disease can kill if you sit in a car with a person who is either a silent carrier, a passive carrier, or an active carrier. It is up to you, the people and the citizens of the country of Kenya, to adhere to Mutahi Kagwe, to listen to the Minister of Health. The cries are not very far. We know the situation might be difficult, and many people are talking of returning to work. I can see many cars in Nairobi streets, plenty of them coming back at the traffic jam building, which is a sign that people have returned again to work. But is it the time to do so? It is up to you as a citizen. The legacy trend, therefore, myself and other people want to call upon you to desist, to deny these few people who break the curfew, who drink in estates, who break the restrictions, who ferry people, who sleep locked up in a house of about 50 people, who eat badly, who fail to wash hands, that there is no room for complacency, because virus COVID-19 does not choose whom to attack, does not tell you how to attack. It attacks you when you fail to listen to the instructions and the guidelines that the government of the Republic of Kenya has put in place. God bless Kenya.
I'm joining the World Health Organization's Safe Hands Challenge. Hand washing is one of the most effective ways of preventing the spread of coronavirus. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 40 to 60 seconds.
Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television. Again, thank you very much. We are sorry we unceremoniously departed without saying goodbye in the first show. But because of the technical hiccup, we lost the last part of our heated show this morning. The show was simply good, and we tried to speak up our minds about corruption in Kenya and other things in the world about COVID-19. Now we switch topics completely, and not even completely, because this topic also touches COVID-19. Schools, do we open the schools? Yes or not? And if so, what measures can we put in place? That is the show, the People's Courts. Remember, Punchline has got one of the best content. We have content. We have the best content that I have put in this, invested in this television. The People's Court show is for people to call in on Friday. We used to have so many people calling us. It's a call to tell us what are the public saying outside there. What does the Kenyan public say about the schools opening, about allowing their children to go to these schools, knowing very well that there is a danger that is flying around us. Do you really want to risk your children? Do you want to help the government and telling them, let's wait until maybe September? America, a country where education is almost 99%, everybody in America speaks English and has gone to school, has gone to do something, has reached here, is doing carpentry, is doing metal work, has not opened the schools. Do we want to open the schools in Africa? Do we in Kenya want to open the schools? We are telling the government, open us up. We need to eat food in the restaurant. North Korea opened up, you saw what happened. The disease spiked up and almost swallowed the bigger numbers that had happened before. So are we ready? Are the teachers ready? How many teachers will be able? How many students are we going to place in schools? What is the seating capacity? What type of seating capacity is going to be? Is it going to be a school anymore? Because what is a school? These are the questions I and my panel this morning will endeavor to answer. We want to know what a school is going to be. What is a school? You might think the school is a buildings, but buildings can be there, but if there are no students sitting, interacting together, does it remain a school? These are the questions, hard ones I'm asking. Does it remain a school if students are not going to interact? How are they going to sit? How many classrooms have we expanded? How is the teaching? How do teachers approach the text, the desks of the students? Are teachers going to put a Zoom in front of the classes and stay in the class, in the teachers, what is it called? That teacher room. Teacher's room is called staff room. Are we going to lecture from staff room to students, even at school when it is open? Are we developed enough? Do we have enough capacity for the schools to open? These are the things that Kenyans must be answering now. Instead of saying, this is this, that is that. No, it's not Uhuru Kenyatta anymore. It's your daughter, it's your son that you are allowing to go in the boarding school back where regulations might not be strictly online. Then 1 week down, you will be called to come and collect your child. Has a problem, has a disease, is vomiting, has high temperature. Do you want to go through that? That is my question. Those are my questions this morning. With me on the panel is none. You know, Miriam, you wonder at times I come with style and I finish with style. Now this style is different, quiet, modest, delivered. With me on the panel is Miriam Ogutu, our senior anchor and researcher in the studio, and our investigative journalist, Mr. Daniel Sin Wesonga from Italy Mafia. Thank you very much, Mr. Italian, because you are wearing Italian suit. You know, Italians like putting that, and it symbolizes a mafia style. If Miriam didn't know, that is my field. I studied mafia. So don't worry. Thank you very much On the panel, we might be joined by other people. But I want to tell my viewers today, this is your show also. If you want to join us to discuss all this, the number is ready here. The number is +254 795 638 145. I repeat, +254 795 638.
Whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life. But whoever ignores correction leads others astray. That is in the Bible, Proverbs 10-17. The reason I am quoting this verse, fellow Kenyans, is because the figures that we are hearing today are a clear demonstration that things are not getting better. And people who are telling others that things are better are lying to them. And somehow, somewhere along the line, we seem to have come to the conclusion as a society that things have gone back to normal. Today's figures show things are far, far from normal. Things are very challenging. And those who are exhibiting the indiscipline that I've referred to, leading others astray, are becoming a common phenomenon.
The government of the Republic of Kenya has made efforts, concerted guidelines, and put it out to the public of the Republic of Kenya and the citizens of Kenya. Looking at the trend of what is happening and the events that are shaping around the modeling and the sample modeling of, and a comparison with other states in the world, globally, Kenya has done very well. But there seems to be a culture of sliding back, a culture where people want to go back to their old habits. What destroys such an exercise? What brings it to a situation where people need to understand that it is not gone yet, it is here. The virus is here, is with us, is an invisible enemy. An invisible enemy for the people of Kenya to understand that they must help themselves, not help the government, but help themselves to fight the enemy. If we don't unite to fight the enemy, if we slide back to our habits, our behaviors, our eating pattern, our socializing pattern, our praying pattern, our stigma, fear, complacency, impunity, these are the things that are letting down Kenya and most of the parts of Africa. It is therefore my opinion, and our opinion, and the opinion of many other people who are at the forefront in fighting this disease, that the people of Kenya stand firm against the few individuals who are violating the regulations, the guidelines, the restrictions that the government has put in place. Your failure to agree or to abide by these regulations might force the government to take more drastic measures that we might not know because we are not. you very much. Welcome back to Punchline Africa Television. We are sorry. Today we have quite a lot of interruptions coming in. Being a Friday, it looks like the Kenya Power from the headquarters where the Miriam is, they are doing a rehearsal for tomorrow's switch off and on. So those who can see the signs like I am seeing, you better tomorrow prepare and charge your phone early, because there could be switch power blackout on Saturday tomorrow. So Kenya the Power Company was doing some rehearsal on our line near the general headquarters in Nairobi, miles away from me. Myself, my power hasn't gone off wherever I am. Thank you very much this morning. This is Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, where Miriam's power is off and on, where Matanga's power is on permanent. Thank you very much. We switched to our generator. That means we've lost, but we shall put it back, make it work. Today the topic was very good. We had started so well. Education is important, is key to the nation, to the future generation. But education under COVID-19 is becoming very difficult to decide to send your children or not. There is education and there is human being. How long does it take to make a human being? We have to bring in divine intervention, because it's God who makes human being. It's God who decides for parents to produce. And the mass of the parents, some people don't have the children. They want to produce. You have seen in America, people trying to adopt children, people going to test tubes, injections to have children. Do you really want to send these children that you work hard to bring in the world, who don't know what they are supposed to do? Some of them say, but you tell them in the morning, let's go to school. They don't know why you are sending them to school. But you are the one grown up who knows why you are sending your child to school, for him or her to have a better education. Do you really want to send this soul who doesn't know why he's going to school until a later age of 10, 11, 12 is when she knows, why am I at school? I want to become a doctor. Psychologists will tell you that children start picking their professions, career, singing at an age of 9. Is when a child wants to say, I will be singing. Some bright ones can say, Mommy, I want to be dancing like a Mike Jackson. I want to dance like this person, like that dancer, or I want to be like Auntie Miriam on TV. I want to speak like Uncle. It takes time for children to pick up those signals. Now, these are the children we want, some of them we want to send home to go and face what they don't know. And what are they facing? It's corona, the virus, a dangerous invisible enemy, an enemy who has flown and destroyed even men of 90 years old. They are gone. What about a child who doesn't wear a mask? Whom you cannot put a mask, who will think the mask is punishing her? She can even tell her fellow students or pupils in the class that my mother is tying my mouth. Yet you are trying to save her. Do we really want to send these children to school? That is the question today in Kenya. The last day for making your contribution to that committee that was selected by Professor Magoha. Deadline looms today. Whatever decision they will come up with, we are also able to put our own suggestion to the topic. And the Punchline Africa Television usually discusses these things from several angles. We are not going to do it like other stations do it. We shall allow people to call us. The line is going to open after my panel has made remarks. The line is open for any Kenyan, wherever you are listening. Make your comment to us. We shall continue to give you, answer your questions. You want to send your child to school now, tomorrow, next month, on 4th, or you want to wait until September. But I want to give you a shocker that in America, this morning we had a show with an American man who is a Kenyan, a man who has studied security systems, international systems, and he says the schools in America, they are telling you to open nightclub, restaurant, but not school. Why? Because children are very easily destroyed by the disease. Children could be sleeper cells. They could carry that disease back to the elderly patients, our parents, back in school. In London, they have phased out the opening of schools. They have allowed some things to open, supermarkets, specific ones. Not all supermarkets are open 24 hours in London like they used to be. Therefore, the most important thing this morning is my panel and myself that I'm going to introduce now to discuss this. Do we send our children back to school? What impact has COVID-19 had on education in this country? Which way forward? What next for Professor Magoha? If students say we are not coming, what is a school? What do you call a school? How will these students sit? How will these pupils sit? How will your child sit at school? How will they observe social distancing? Is there enough water? If Nairobi is as dry for water as it is, what about the rural areas in Masabit, Wanji, Mandera, Isiolo, Turkana, where there is plenty of water but very little water on the villages? What about those areas, West Pokot, where there is plenty of water but nobody harnesses them? What about the areas of Sahara Desert, Karamoja, where water for washing hands is impossible? There are areas in this country where government-free sanitizers have never arrived. Thank you very much to those giving out the food here, but they haven't checked whether sanitizers have arrived, which the government was giving for free. There are people in this country crying for sanitizer. This one, here. They have never received, Mr. President. Some of these people have turned to selling the sanitizer. Your Excellency, the Minister of Health, please check. Governors, check on the chiefs. Some of them are selling sanitizer. Now you want to send the children in such conditions. Doesn't it worry you as a parent, wherever you are? To discuss this topic, my panel is composed of my senior anchor, researcher, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning.
A very good morning to you and a very good morning to all viewers.
Next is our investigative journalist, Italian well-dressed man in Italian type of mafioso, none other than Daniel Wesonga. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Dr. Matsanga and Miriam, and our viewers who are tuned in today. Good morning.
Thank you. Let's go at it. Ladies first. Open it for us. It is here. Let's have the figures.
All right, before we get to the figures, well, Kenyans have until 5 o'clock today to give their views to the National COVID-19 Education Response Committee that will advise Education CS George Magoha on whether schools should reopen on June 4th or the date be postponed. Professor Magoha is expected to brief the Senate next week on the progress of e-learning amid concerns that it might take time to resume face-to-face learning because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This comes as a task force on the reopening of schools chaired by Ms. Sarah Ruto continued to receive views from education stakeholders on when learning should resume in schools. So the tentative date that the Ministry of Education had put earlier, I think in April, was on 4th of June, because perhaps, according to government predictions, they were perhaps hoping that COVID-19 will be under control then. But what you're seeing in Kenya, what you're seeing in Africa, what you're seeing in the world is that there's been an increased cases, especially in this country, that now brings in other kinds of concern. And so now the question is, 4th of June, are we ready to open our schools then? So this is what the views of Kenyans were expected to be giving their views to this Education Response Committee, and after that the Ministry of Education will deliberate and make the appropriate announcement or the appropriate postponement should need be. But I think at this point, June 4th, I'm not sure if this is a date that the Ministry of Education is working with anymore.
Wesonga.
Yes, Dr. Matsanga, now my perspective on that topic, I think it is quite foolhardy to imagine that we do have people who are advocating for the reopening of schools. Case study, when you look at the Asian countries, Japan, Taiwan, and even South Korea, these countries have not been quite in a hush to open up schools, despite being that these are countries that are really advanced in terms of technology and infrastructure. They have better schools than us. They have better medical facilities than us. Their schools are not as populated as a majority of our schools. But these countries have been very cautious when it comes to that topic. So it's really disappointing and maybe baffling from my perspective that we do have parents and a majority of Kenyans who are calling for schools to reopen as soon as possible.
I've not heard. Wesonga, maybe you correct me there if I'm wrong, but I've not heard parents come out and say we need the schools to open now. I don't think any parent wants to throw themselves out there, the children out there, and go in the harm's way. I've not heard parents say open the schools today. What was the date that was given by the Ministry of Education, and that was in April, and perhaps the government had thought, because the CS Magoha is speaking on behalf of the government and that arm of the government, and they thought maybe on 4th of June things will be under control. But as it appears now, judging from the numbers that we've been getting since a couple of days ago, we still have a long way to go in terms of containing COVID-19, because also the high number of testing now that the government has rolled out in this mass testing. And yesterday we shared a chart. I don't know if our production was able to share charts about this mass testings that will be happening in different parts of this country, especially in the city and other places that have been highly affected. So if we continue receiving these high numbers because of the high mass number of testing that is taking place, that might now advise for the tentative date that the Ministry of Education had given, which is the 4th of June, to be moved perhaps forward. But I have not heard parents coming out and saying we need the schools to open right now. I've not heard them say that. I'm a parent. I mean, no.
Okay, Miriam, perhaps maybe for some of us who are so much into the social media space, we've at one point or another, we've come across so many Kenyans. And, it's not only schools, but you'll find the majority of Kenyans, some of them in quite ambiguous way, advocating even for the opening of the churches. And yesterday you saw the former MP for Starehe, Honorable Margaret Wanjiru. It is claimed that she hosted some 18 people at her home. And they turned out that 8 of them tested positive for coronavirus, and herself right now is admitted at the hospital for the same disease. So you can imagine if that kind of scenario happened, if the churches were opened, what will have happened to the thousands of people who attend the church, the Jesus is Alive Ministry Church. So I've come across Kenyans on social media space saying that, this has become too much. The president and the government need to loosen up on these measures. They need to reopen bars. They need to reopen churches. They need to reopen the universities and schools. So, it's not an exemption. And of course, I've spoken also to a few parents who happen to be my friends. And perhaps what they feel, most Kenyans really, I think they fear responsibility. And the fact that our children at home, maybe they are feeling the economic bite in their pockets. And perhaps that is what is motivating this talk of maybe perhaps we should get our children back to school and get rid of ourselves of this responsibility.
Get rid of us, abdicate our duties as parents. I think that is, that is something that, there are parents who are perhaps overwhelmed, and I hear these children are eating too much right now, so you spend so much on food. I've had a few of my friends complaining, but even with that, we'd rather have them there giving you headache than I think taking them back to school where it is not clear yet. And of course, the Ministry of Education has not given a green light that everything is okay now because they're meeting today. Kenyans are supposed to submit their views so that it can deliberate on it, and then we shall be given the final report. But I understand, the parents who are overwhelmed by their own children.
Yeah, and maybe before...
What, first of all, before you go further, let me now bring... Why are you overwhelmed by your own child?
I've never understood. Maybe that's why I have one child, so my life is very easy. So I don't know. For the parents who have 3, 4, 5 children, I don't know. Mine is fantastic.
Dr. Matsanga.
6, 7, 8, like me.
That's headache.
Yes, I don't want to hide.
Especially when they're very young, they still require a lot of your attention.
Daughter, as I speak right now, because for me, my point is, I make my things practical. That's why Matanga ticks. I don't fear to say, because there's nothing to hide in my life. I've made it to my last level. My daughter in Cambridge, today as we speak, the university is making me pay £2,800. Even the university wrote to us a letter, if we don't pay for the accommodation. Then I asked myself, surely Cambridge University of all institutions that has been there for more than 1,000 years, when education started in Britain, cannot give us concession, even when Corona, nobody is in the campus. No school has opened. No campus has opened. Isn't it the place where education started? It is. But I have said, I love my daughter more than her going to stay in that hostel. Let it be empty. But you will not kanyaga utoke kwa mguu from my house. You leave my house to go back to school. Oh, Dad, let me go understand. I said, where? No. I'm here. I call her on video every evening because she's 21. She can decide to do what she wants. Anaweza sema I'm gone in a car. What will you do? Anaweza sema I'm driving around. And she goes. So I said, you are my last born. I like my children. How can I say, allow you, Miriam, this is shocking for me. For you to say there are some parents who say, their children are eating too much.
Yeah, a friend of mine called and said, I'm using 3 times the amount of money we've been using because now they keep going to the fridge. The trips are because they have nothing else to do because not all schools are offering the e-learning. So they're just eating and they can't play outside. So they're just eating and watching television. Yeah. And
We're so
5 of them.
this one because you are not, I don't know whether you have delivered any of the results.
I'm still on the process, but one thing, Dr. Matsanga, with the Kenyan society, actually COVID-19 is bringing an aspect that perhaps majority of the parents have left the role of parenting to teachers and the schools because most of them seems like they haven't been spending a lot of time with their kids. They haven't been looking into things that their kids are engaging in. And there was a joke recently posing a challenge to parents if they perhaps they still believe that the teachers of their children have been saying that these children are stubborn. So, and the parents have been defending that accusation. So it was asking Miriam and other parents if they still hold the same opinion that perhaps their children are not that stubborn as teachers say. So perhaps this is the first time the parents are having their children at home for quite a longer period of time, and they are able to feel the situation as it is. Because most of these pupils spend most of their time at school. They eat meals at schools, and they only get to meet their parents in the evening after work. So maybe that could be the point why they're feeling the heat.
So Doctor, there's something you've raised about the amount of money that you're being asked to pay there for your daughter, but also we see that has become a problem here because some parents are wondering, our children have not been going to school, but yet you're expected to pay, especially for the private schools, for full fees and all that. So Professor Magoha today is also expected to clarify whether parents or guardians will be expected to pay full school fees for second term, given that the fees for first term were not fully used after schools were prematurely closed because of the coronavirus. I think the argument about the first term not fully used, I think the argument there does not really hold because it was just 2 weeks and before, and then schools are going to be closed before, the shutdown or before the curfew and all that. So first term was pretty much done, but now the question is for second term, and we've seen a lot of schools, and when you look at those figures, some of these private schools, they charge really hefty, and they've been wanting and requiring the parents to pay full fees despite the fact that the children have not been going to school. So Doctor, that concern, I think a lot of parents here in Kenya also have that, and so the CS for education will come forth and give a clear way on how the schools should operate in regards to that.
Okay. There is a perennial problem of schooling inadequacy of materials in schools. That has actually been one of the complaints. Enough material, enough desks to sit on. You saw sometime last year a very poor school in the cliff area of Kwale. Students sit on one desk, they sit on stones. Are there facilities, given that the COVID-19 now, we are told to be disciplined hygienically? Hygiene is the answer of COVID-19. Are there still any reforms that have been made in schools?
Actually,
and let's be very honest about this. How are you going to send your children to a school which is still writing on a stone, where people are sitting on a stone and a tree?
And
how? So, if that is the case, why can't we develop a system where communal teaching during that time can be supervised in locations? For example, open daytime where there is water.
Doctor, it's interesting that you could bring that up. We know right now communal learning is not possible because of the social distancing measures there that have been put forth due to the threat of the COVID-19. But also, yesterday's newspaper, we didn't check this part, the Star newspaper there, inside President Huru's 54 billion Kenya shillings post-COVID-19 stimulus package. And I was just going through here in the morning, and it has been mentioned so much about schools and schools, how the government plans to upgrade this. Yes, because you've mentioned the schools that are not well equipped, and there are no schools in some areas totally. So President Uhuru Kenyatta seems to already have this in plan, and that is part of the economic stimulus plan. And the government intends to build more classrooms, hire youths and health workers. So maybe I just read a bit of that so that we, even as we talk, we see there's something also the government is doing to address this need. And it says that the government is seeking an additional 86 billion Kenya shillings to rejig the economy, reopen schools, and cushion Kenyans from effects of the coronavirus. And down here in this regard, the outlined hospital, that is on page 4 of the Star newspaper for yesterday. In this regard, the outlined hospitals, schools, and roads and water projects will use local labor as a way of ensuring more youths get the jobs, and the government intends to spend about 10 billion. So we see that there will be additional classrooms in 300 secondary schools, which will cost about 2.1 billion Kenya shillings to increase space for learners. Also lined up in the provision of the 250,000 locally fabricated desks for secondary schools and all of that. So we see there has been a need, and sometimes we air this news and it's very embarrassing. And at this point, I think I usually will just go straight and judge the county governments, because that is why we devolved as a country. That is why we have the devolved governments, because the government cannot come down into a primary school down there, the national government. We need the MCAs there. When you're planning, when you're looking at the most the urgent need in your constituencies, that should form part of the basis of the things that you need done for the people that elected you to represent them. But we see that the government has a plan actually to build more schools, to equip more schools, and perhaps to hire more teachers so that our children who have been learning under very bad conditions in some different parts of this country will be cushioned and moving forward. I think after this COVID is over, they might go back to better facilities when the schools open.
Yes, Miriam, maybe just to chip in, I think Dr. Matsanga is raising a very important point there. He has been talking about having a community arrangement on how to oversee that we, as far as the schools remain closed, we have a local solution. And I think from my perspective, I'll also root for that.
What would that look like, Wasonga? A local solution? Yes. Just paint a picture for us.
Okay, like you see, like
distancing in mind.
Okay, yeah. So we do have a problem with our education system. You understand that in places like Elgeyo Marakwet, where the former majority leader of the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen, comes, we still have schools where learners still learn under a tree. We still have schools that do not have enough teachers. We still have schools that don't even have water, don't have even latrines. So I believe such kind of a move to reopen schools, for me, first of all, it's a distant dream. It's something that needs a lot of planning, a lot of infrastructural setup. And what Dr. Matsanga is saying perhaps is to have these community leaders who will be able to identify teachers who can be able to arrange these students, of course, adhering to all the measures of social distancing, and be able to impact education on them, of course, at a given pre-arranged schedule, so that we ensure that there's no congestion, there's no infringing of these measures that have been put out there. And I think that is the way to go, because that's a local solution, because we cannot say that we are going to set up measures like the other countries are doing, like Taiwan, like Japan is doing, of setting up, building more.
Yeah. So
building more classes.
So and I understand, because that is also in response to, while Magoha will be showing up to this committee to answer some of these questions. Also, he'll be queried about the e-learning, because according to Magoha, I think from where he stands, children are learning, and the truth is, a very few of our children right now even have access to internet. Forget even internet, mobile phones, that they can even go through WhatsApp, right? So that is the unfortunate reality. And so e-learning has been going on, but for the few fortunate, students and pupils in this country. So he has to go and perhaps answer. And that is why I think that the Ministry of Education really wanted to hear Kenyans' ideas, because so that we are able to come up with a local solution, as you put it, that will now be trickled down, so that even the children down in Marsabit, down in my village there, they're not able to be left out as the rest are continuing with their education, even as we wait for this COVID to be over. So that is something also that Mr. Magoha will have to, Professor Magoha will be answering. But I still want to understand in the local setting, the children who have been missing out. So what I hear for you saying is that the local leadership there, together with the teachers that are available there, they try and come with ways where they'll be teaching these children, perhaps in rotation, so that not all of them are in one place at the same time. They'll need payment. So what are we talking?
Basically, where Songa Miriam has a point here.
Yes.
I don't think, to be very honest, don't try. That's it. Don't try. There are so many hazards out there.
Absolutely.
First of all, coronavirus, nobody knows the limit of hazards. We are now beginning to see extra diseases added, 60 of them. Haven't you heard somewhere that there are 60 more related to coronavirus? The ripple effect, as I said, and as I want to continue to say, the ripple effect is not the destruction of Emperor Julius, the stabbing by Brutus. But when Emperor was dead, what were the ripple effects? Now, the ripple effects, the danger here is not COVID-19. The danger is the aftermath of this product called COVID-19, which the Chinese manufactured for us from a center in laboratory in Rwan, which the World Health Organization never told us to wash our hands until March, when they knew washing hands was possible in January. How many people would we have saved? Which they never told us that it flies by plane. It arrives through plane. It touches the face in the toilet of the plane. That is the danger of once this plane starts again, the virus will reach our children. The goods that are going to be brought in the plane will reach our children. Will reach the shops. We have to buy those clothes. I'm reasoning now here for right effects. So Miriam, you brought up a serious point. Look at our educational system, the schools, the infrastructure. Remember, this topic is not only on Kenya. It is East African region. Uganda is grappling with the same. You are saying the students doing the exams tomorrow, will they see the results when they have got corona? Will they see the results? Tell me. When those students have got the disease, will they see the results that you are rushing them to go and do the exams? Magoha, and Madam Museveni in Uganda, First Lady, Muchunga hii kitu. Be careful. This disease is quiet. People are not washing hands, and you want to send students in school where there is no supervision of a parent on a daily 24 hours. Muchunga hiyo kitu. All right. Let's not beat about the bush, Jermaine. Let the government listen to us. Tanzania reopens colleges, sports, tourism, and as COVID-19 numbers drop. Which numbers were high in Tanzania? Wachana Magufuli.
And which tourists are going to visit Tanzania?
Listen, Magufuli has not told us the numbers of students of COVID-19 for 2 weeks.
I agree with you.
I am not being hot. And don't tune my other angle. I'm very bad. I've been patient. I have been patient. This is stupidity of the highest degree. Of sending our children back to school. We should not even be talking about it now. Education can wait. Education can wait. If I can tell you that I finished Senior 4 in 1974, I did my degree in the year 1989. I started because of Idi Amin. The brutality of Idi Amin sent me out, out. I was not able to complete. Then came back, still we were overthrown. Then I started as I was doing my degree again, what in taught. Education does not stop, but life stops. Am I wrong?
Very correct, very correct.
Here I am. I know even what Julius Caesar did in 49 BC. Woohoo! Did it stop? Why do you want to send a child back to an unknown destiny? Where some teachers are even abusing children. Where some teachers have left home, they have sick people in their house. They have not even reported them. Do you know that? Do you know that this disease is hide and seek now? Do you know that it is very difficult for some families to go to hospital at the moment? Because if you go to test and then the clicks go.
But Doctor, in Kenya here, the government has not given a date to open schools, so they're still working on it and they're still reviewing. So here, no. But in Tanzania, Tanzania's President John Magufuli has announced that university students and final year secondary students will return to class on 1st of June. Sporting events, which have also been halted for at least 2 months to stop the spread of the coronavirus, will also resume then. And by other secondary school and primary school pupils will not be returning yet. But he's saying that the final year secondary school and the primary school students will return to school. So Tanzania stopped giving out daily statistics on new infections several weeks ago, but President Magufuli insists that the country's infection rates have significantly declined. I don't know how he knows that if he does not even trust the testing case. That is a conversation for another day. So Tanzania, I don't know, does that pose any risk for us here in Kenya? Because do we have to worry about that?
Miriam, Miriam, you have started what a sleeping volcano is. A sleeping volcano. You think Mount Kilimanjaro is quiet? Do you think Mount Elgon is quiet? Do you think Mount Kenya is quiet? Do you think Longonot, the Rift Valley, that crater is quiet? How do you know that one day it could explode and all of us could start running here? When the plates, the Pluton, is it called Plutonic? Platonic plates.
Tectonic or Platonic, yes.
Yes, Platonic plates start ruffling. It is like a Tanzania. It's like a Tanzania. Walai, it is quiet. It's quiet. Magufuli might see Mount Kilimanjaro quiet on top and go and grow the crops. But one day, hallelujah, it will explode. The problem here is, how are we in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and other countries going to avoid leprosy? I'm not saying there's leprosy in Tanzania, but now it's becoming a leprosy center. Because if the COVID is, I want the world to tell me there are students in Kenya who have paid school fees in Uganda. High school fees. They want to return to study. What guarantees do these governments give to these students who paid money in Uganda and they want education and it continues to stop? Is education running away to Jerusalem? Is education not still in the syllabus? Can we not extend extraordinary measures, require extraordinary courage? Can't the governments suspend the exams completely this year? And say those ones who are going to do this will do it next year. After all, this COVID-19 is going to really just the community war. It's going to really just Wesonga war. The way Wesonga is going to work in TRM is going to be different. The way he's used to wear his tracksuit on Saturday and pose around the TRM and pose around the markets, family shopping out with basket to show that I am not alone, I am not single. Now, things are changing, Miriam. Things are changing. And let's not take our children to a danger that will engulf us ahead there. And we don't have vaccine. Let me bring my point home. All these things would have been okay had we got vaccine. If we get a breakthrough for AIDS, do you know that now people even walk around because they say there is a testing kit for AIDS? When you want a girlfriend, you said, thank you very much, but Danny. No, that's how they call it. I'm now giving an example of my young man, Daniel.
Yes.
Danny, can you buy that kit, please? It is there because there is, Miriam, there is hope. Why are people having hope of AIDS today? Because there is medicine. But Corona, hakuna hope. Wanakuambia kunywa michungwa, chungwa, lemon, hama. I am telling you, my daughter, I've said it all the time, Nora Matanga had the same problem. You imagine a social worker, a doctor coming to your house with this mask. Unaona hii PP, what are they called? PPE, dressed up.
Personal protective equipment.
Personal protective.
PPE, yes.
And then you think he's bringing you salvation. Then the doctor tells you, Dr. Matsanga, you seem to have symptoms. Don't go out, drink lemon, drink water, hot water, drink honey, eat this, drink that, eat that. My doctor told me, I said, oh, why? She didn't give you any medicine. No. Okay, Panadol, buy it for high temperature, cool down. That's the medicine. And the doctor was asking my daughter, oh, do you have any extra disease? My daughter said no. My daughter said, can I put you online with my dad? She's 28. She put her on, she put the doctor lady online. So any history of this lady, this daughter, I said no, nothing. She has never been to hospital. She has never been there, she has never, nothing. Then she said, no, okay. For that case, there is no bed in hospital. For that case, there is no medicine. For that case, Panadol. Panadol and hot water, Vicks, rub. So my daughter said, but Dad, there was no medicine given. So there is no medicine. Let's not send our children to a place when we ourselves don't have the solution. The solution is not there, Miriam. Therefore, for me, I advise parents in East Africa to first, one, I disagree with anybody saying exam. So what? Makoha did his exam where? Makoha is misleading people.
And doctor, we have even Uganda there.
Yeah, we are talking about all East African. Mrs. Museveni.
Before we get to the conclusion, perhaps we look at specific countries and then we can conclude.
Okay.
Yes.
No, let's talk generally. We shall come back to Kenya to hammer down the point.
Yes.
Mrs. Museveni herself, when did she do the exams? Yes. Now we go back to the truth. Mrs. Museveni started a degree 10 years ago. She had no degree. Yeah, when they wanted members of parliament to go, you must have a degree before you go. Is when she went to Makerere University. Did the education run away? Did the education run away? I don't know whether you are seeing my point. Wesonga.
Yes, I'm getting your point.
Yes.
As the school run away.
Not really.
And save lives first. Then we come to, after we are sure there is hope that when the student goes to school and she is affected or he is affected, we shall run her to a hospital and get an injection. Then we send our children to school. That's my conclusion.
All right.
Yes, I think...
Yeah, before you come in, some countries like the United States believe that the number of cases in the Eastern African nation could be much higher than has been reported, something which the authorities dispute. And also now we see the danger, Dr. They mentioned, of having the children go back to school. Remember, we have children in boarding schools who had to go back to their homes before, after when the government decided to close the schools because of the danger of COVID-19. So now that will come also with other issues. If they have to go back to school, and of course the government of Kenya has not said the children will go back to school, they're still deliberating on that, but assuming the government decides now let the children go back to school, the travel restrictions, that will have to be lifted because a lot of children in boarding schools come from one part of the country and they studied in the other part of the country. So this will also affect other measures that have been put in place to ensure, the spread of the COVID-19 has been put in check. And now we move to Uganda here before you come in, Daniel. Uganda plans to start easing strict lockdown measures from June 2nd and also reopening schools for learners set to do national examinations this year. President Yoweri Museveni announced on Monday that authorities plan to distribute face masks to all citizens 6 years old and above. He is quoted saying the public transporters will also be allowed to restart operations but at half their capacity, while shops in buildings that are not crowded will reopen. Uganda's government joins other African countries in easing restrictions that were introduced to curb the spread of the coronavirus. So we see a doctor, even in Uganda, the children who are set to be sitting for the national examinations this year, President Museveni is saying, yes, they will go back to school and they will prepare for the examinations. The same problem, the same we're facing here, challenge.
At times, we might have a problem, disagree, but I agree with Senator Murkomen.
Oh, breaking news.
Yes.
On what?
Yeah.
That's some breaking news right here.
for the very first time.
I know.
Yes, I agree. No. I give the credit where it is due, Miriam.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Senator Murkomen has suggested. I don't foresee, and I don't think it is wise to open schools until at least January 2021.
It seems he has woken up.
I might disagree with this man, Murkomen, on this, on several things of attacking President Uhuru Kenyatta and insulting the president. But on this, Murkomen, I agree with you. What is the hurry? Because some people say children are eating more food in the house, then why did you produce them? Why did you produce your children? Then you go and tell another parent that you are having expenditure. Kumbe,
3 times.
It is the school that is making you lose, save. Surely, then why do you go into production? Why do you go into production of children that you want to send them away?
They can have the food program in school there. At home, they're eating too much. So.
Yeah, and I think, Miriam, today Dr. Matsanga has been very clear and quite straight to the point. And I tend to hold the same opinion because if you say that, a lot of things have not opened up. Even now, we have people who are running businesses who are still at home. So really having our children to go back to school will be akin to pushing them to a death trap and using them as a guinea pig to see whether this thing can work. Because even in the US, I have friends who are there in colleges, and some of them who are supposed to graduate in May are not graduating.
They're doing virtual graduations. I saw Larry graduated virtually there.
Yeah. So we really need to be patient and ensure that everything is back to normalcy before we can proceed. And for the first time there, I see Dr. Matsanga has agreed with Senator Murkomen, and maybe perhaps it's because the power has been taken away, and he tends to think quite clearly in his thoughts, and we tend to be on the same view on that.
Okay. So we go to Rwanda, where schools will remain closed until September, as well as places of worship, bars, and recreation centers. The statement stressed, given by the government of Rwanda, stressed that wearing face masks in public is mandatory at all times. Mass screening and testing of the COVID-19 will continue nationwide. Rwanda announced an initial 2-week lockdown for the first time on March 21st at onset of the coronavirus outbreak, which was extended twice until April 30th. So Rwanda is saying tentatively the schools there might open in September. Is September too close? Or because Rwanda's numbers are not as high, I think they were able to contain it. They're not, I don't know, because in Kenya also, remember, we were not recording the numbers as high, but right now it seems to be at the peak because the government has rolled out mass testing in different parts of these countries, so that also, and also contact tracing and all that. And something just before slips my mind, I think we have to talk about it. The politician that is now in hospital getting treatment, and we wish them a quick recovery. I've seen social media and the people who know who this person is. But how careless can you be when the government is saying, don't bring people to your home? You are a leader. You are... Why are people not listening? Now look at that. Right now, the situation of that person is not very good. And other people also got infected. So maybe one person who attended that meeting, has been sick. And then what really shook me, this person has not been feeling well for the past 2 weeks. having the symptoms of coronavirus, why? What is the fear? Why couldn't they go even to a private hospital and seek for a test or something? Because they can afford it. Why? 2 weeks. Now they're having a problem with breathing. That's when they go to the hospital.
Miriam,
there's
a certain colleague of mine who was making a joke recently about how Kenyans have really had a negative feeling about revealing whatever they go through. And he was just saying, nowadays, rarely will you ever see someone posting that they are sick, even on social media. We used to see that before COVID-19, but nowadays you can scroll the entire page of your social media account, and you won't be even be able to see a single post of someone admitting maybe feeling unwell or something of sort. So that goes to the debate that Dr. Matsanga, yourself, and the team that you run the morning show discussed the other day. The packaging of this message from the Ministry of Health, they really need to make a perception that having when you have this coronavirus, you are not. It's not being akin to being condemned to death. So people need to come out quite courageously. They need not to hide. They need not to feel stigmatized about coming to the limelight and admitting that, okay, I'm feeling unwell and I feel these symptoms, according to what I know, could be related to the COVID-19.
Thank you very much. We are getting breaking news here that the police has just dispersed people in, before I answer your question, the people in Mlango Kuba. I think Miriam is watching keenly. Mlango Kuba is in Isli. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands wanted to storm Isli and start trading. So police has just used tear gas. And there's a running battle there. Can you imagine? That's the citizen. Those are the citizens we have in our countries. The government has closed down Isli. They want to force to go and sell what? Sell what?
To who? Who is going to Isli?
If people can sell to adults, what about these guys taking corona things to the schools? We shall be in trouble. So schools cannot open.
Yeah, and I think, yes, I think that goes to an article that was written by the Legacy Trend a while back. You know, it's high time Kenyans took these things seriously. You saw yesterday when they reported. Yeah, it said that it was the parting shot in that article, and it said, as a country, we really have to take the COVID-19 seriously and follow the measures as citizens and as patriots, or we perish together as idiots. So whatever those guys were doing in Isli, then it really shows how much we are determined to perish as idiots.
I'm very happy that you are even saying that, because I said it. I wrote and said there are two options. We shape up or we perish. We behave hygienically or we die now, all of us. Now, we either take a decision not to take our children. I have, for the first time in my life, on a day like a Friday, 3 hours away from cutting Murkomen's envelope, umbilical cord, to die. The lesson of political science, the knives of the daggers. Today at 2:30, agreed with him on the question of the children not going back to school. Don't rush our children back to school. Government, listen, war. Don't say we never told you. The exams will wait. After all, we can assess these children on how far they have been performing and call for a national exam even in 2021, for all of them to sit one day. Finito! Wache hiyo maneno. Mago has studied how to become a professor. Where did he study? In Britain. In Britain, unaandika hii. Say, I can make a frog work. Unaandika, the mzungu says, yes, this black man is very clever. Makoha alipata PhD zake huko.
He's a smart man. That I respect him for that.
He's a very good guy, so he should know. Listen first, one way of doing this thing is Matanga theory. Let's do an exam. Let these students who are going to sit for exam, we set the dates. They continue revising from home. There are few, after all, there are few in number. Why are they going to school to do what?
And Doctor,
tell me, to go to school to do finish what? To finish what? Niambie,
to finish
what?
the curriculum. But also,
they are all these years.
Yes.
They can, the remaining months are only 4. Isn't it? About 4 or 5 months or 6.
Yes.
Why don't we wait and examine them
at the end of the year?
In December, once, and mark them to go to school next year. And the rest of the classes, should we do like a wholesale test for the next class? Because if you don't, then we will have a gap there. Exactly. That's why we are discussing differently from this small television called any TV one. We discuss differently. They don't bring in ideas. We bring ideas. Yeah.
Yes, and also maybe just to cheapen that, you know, in Kenya we in the past we had this gentleman called Mzee Maruge. You remember him, Miriam?
He passed on.
He passed on. Yeah. But this gentleman chose to go back to school at the age of around 80-something there. And he was able really to arouse the nation, the national maybe perspective about education. You know, the message here was that you could go to school at any particular age in your life and be able to achieve as much. And you see, like, if we come back to today, you know, these activists like Boniface Mwangi, all that English that he uses to insult the president, that guy has gone to school just recently. Prior to that, he had not even cleared his high school education.
I commend anybody who I'm back to school now, so I commend anybody who has made an effort to go improve on themselves. So let's not attack that. You can go back to school even at the age of 80 years old. It's
we can go to school anytime.
Yes.
The point here is this.
Yes.
I've told you, I finished A-levels when I was in senior 1, in senior 5. First year, I mean, soldiers came and collected me.
Yes.
They beat me up. I left school. This is 1975 war. A-level. Doing divinity, geography, a subject called BCG. I would be a very big scientist, maybe. Yeah, because I passed biology very well. By the way, on my East African certificate of education, not these stupid certificates of yours that you get now. I'm sorry. Uganda certificate of education, Kenya certificate of education.
We are proud. We have a good certificate, Doctor. We are proud. I have it and I'm proud.
I'm saying Uganda.
I'm proud of our system.
Uganda certificate of education. I am not annoyed of the Kenya.
I am only saying, yes.
I'm only saying,
yes.
Kenya certificate of education.
Yes.
You missed that level of East African certificate of education. But that's not the point for today.
Yes.
The point for today is, after that, I went into rebel activities. When we came back in 1980, I went to register to go back to school. I was doing long distance university. 1985, before we could finish, a coup arrived 27th July, Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning. We were overthrown. I know even at the time, the sunshine was high. I was very slender like a Westonga, even Westonga is bigger. I arrived in Buhungu Stadium with nothing. But we went back to school. Yes. 1989, I struggled to go back in very difficult conditions to do A-levels equivalent in Britain. There is no way you can enter without doing those. So when the Bazungu asked me, all these things I was passing highly. Bazungu said, what the hell is this man here? And I passed. I went back to the campus, Hamad, produced my first degree, second degree. Here I am, a street boy, a chokora, washing Bazungu toilets up to Glasgow.
And I hear you, yes.
Now, education does not stop,
yes,
but life stops.
True. Very
That's
true.
the point I'm trying to make.
Yes. And I agree with you.
Why are you rushing these younger souls back to school, Mr. Makoha?
Makoha hasn't said for the schools to open, please. The government has not made it clear. They're still deliberating.
Students.
He was getting views from Kenyans.
Students.
Doctor, it ends today, the views.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he has not come out to say, because tentatively they'd given 2nd of June, but now that date does not hold. So we have to be very clear. The government has not asked the children of Kenya to go back to school. No. We have to be very clear about that. Okay. But also, Doctor, I think...
Let me talk about the students of Uganda.
Yes, and Rwanda and yes, and Tanzania.
Madam Janet.
Yes.
With due respect, yes, you did your degree last year, about 10 years ago. You came back to finish First Lady. You finished the degree. So, when you finished the degree 10 years ago, Madam, when you were about 60, now why do you want to take these children for an exam very quickly? Let's devise. Dr. Professor Magufuli is now no longer doctor because he hammered the second PhD in another subject of chemistry.
Oh, that's good. Congratulations.
He can now just do like this under the fire touches because he's a chemist. Now, good. Why is he misleading people to open the schools?
Yeah.
Honestly. Yet we can wait. Professor Magufuli is doing another degree. Didn't you read that Wesonga?
I read it, sir.
In some science that I've never heard the name in life.
He's a very smart man. I don't know why he's not putting that into use, but that is a subject for another time, especially when dealing with COVID-19. Doctor, I think the challenge that all these governments are having, including that of Uganda, Tanzania, and of course Kenya now is playing wait and see how, before they really set up a date, is, the education system is a well-oiled system that, does not allow, nobody had foreseen how you can stop a whole education year, how that can be interrupted. And these few cases of, people going back to school late and all that, those are few individuals that does not affect the whole education system. But you see now, the very well-oiled education systems across the globe are being affected. And so the governments have to think of ways. Nobody ever imagined that any education system in a country could be affected, could be halted. So therefore, they're just trying to come up with ways on how to adjust and how to really make the necessary changes, which they're not even aware what will be the necessary changes. So they're just trying to figure out, and that I think is the bigger challenge. But also, the other challenge with the parents now, should do we have our children doing a wholesale, end year exam or end of education year exam, so that next year they start in January? Should we go that route? Next year they start another education year, or will they have to repeat? And should they have to repeat? Now we have to look at especially the teachers from the private schools. You're only paid when the students are paying the school fees. So essentially right now there are teachers who are not receiving their salaries because parents have not been able to pay for their school fees. So how will they survive? So these are also other aspects that we have to look at, because the government, teachers will continue getting their pay. They're part of the civil service. They'll continue getting their pay. But for the private schools, which are so many in this country and indeed across other parts of the world, should we do the exams, the students don't go back to school, that means maybe fees will not be paid. And should parents go ahead and pay the fees? Of course, as I said there earlier, CS Magoha will come out to clarify this after he meets with the committee, I think, next week. So parents will be waiting to hear what he has to say about it. So what will happen, really? So this is a lot that I think is a conversation we shall continue having. And then maybe we wait for what Magoha will say next week, and perhaps we wait for what, ideas Kenyans forwarded to the Ministry of Education. But so far, I think the government is just trying. Yes.
Miriam.
Yes.
Madam, before you make a move of departure.
No, we are not departing. We are still talking about South Sudan here. We are now... South Sudan revealed plans to roll out distance learning programs on the radio for children out of school due to the outbreak of coronavirus.
And can Stephen tell Stephen to put that thing? We want to see, as we talk about this chapter, students and schools. It has been a very interesting discussion with very good numbers following. I want you to bring one of the typical schools in Kenya that was built by Professor Kindure, Dunduru, something like that. Stephen, it is on your, bring it on. This is the school that you wanted to send our children with. This is the only development that Professor Kindiki did in Tarak. That was more expensive flight than buying cement. So he went to do a PR exercise of removing his trouser up to the knees, or folding his trousers up to the knees to mix the mud, then do a school. Bring that photograph of the school as we depart this education sector. Then you tell me, where is water here to send our children? I'm waiting for that. Miriam, I'm not running away, I'm busy.
Yes.
I'm busy waiting for your any questions tonight. Look, that's the classroom. That's one of the classrooms in Professor Kindiki's area. So that's a classroom. This classroom was officially opened by His Excellency Kidure Kindiki.
What's an mediocrity?
That's the school you want to send your child to?
Well, a lot of Kenyan students go to such schools, unfortunately, across the country.
No, this is even better. It has a roof.
There's
a roof.
Dr. Matsanga, I think
children study under trees. You can't send children who are studying under trees to trees. There's no water. There's no sanitizer. The chiefs are selling sanitizer. The chiefs are selling sanitizer, Mr. President. Some people are not sanitizing their hands from the toilet straight to food. Now, and they touch their eyes like this. At least for me, I've kept here ready-made sanitizer. Discipline is lacking. Don't send our children to those schools. For the first time, I agree with this small boy called Murukomen from Marakwet. That the only sensible thing he wrote about the children is that there you can see this senator who's struggling for his life. You know, I wish President Kenyatta was like this. Everybody would be working very hard. You saw Senator Omanga dishing out some goods in Nairobi yesterday. Have you seen that clip running around?
No, I haven't. Senator Omanga.
Of course.
Okay, what was she distributing?
She was distributing commodities.
But they're supposed to give it to the special team that is coordinated by
the foundation.
Oh, okay.
And you know that is in
our beloved deputy King.
Why is he not distributing food in Elgeyo Marakwet, where we have victims of mudslides?
We are hated. Our narrow. Our narrow is
Before we take that route, can you just finish up with South Sudan, and then we can
we have done.
Yes. Yes. The helicopter there in Yero costs 300,000 shillings to hire for a route to Tharaka-Nithi. That 300,000 shillings can build a house, a classroom in Tharaka-Nithi. Then you tell me this was a development.
I think that was an overt mockery of the same hustlers that they claim to be presenting their agenda. And for Kindiki Kithure, I think even himself did not go to the same school with the same infrastructure that he's trying to give back to his own community. Kindiki Kithure attended Lenana School, the same school I was in, and that is a colonial school that had the best infrastructure. So why can't he also now make an initiative of giving our fellow hustlers the same facilities that himself enjoyed as a young man? So I think these are people who preach wine, water, and they take wine very sanctimonious.
Yeah, some of them even go to give cabbages in Kikuyu land. When in Eldoret people are dying they want food. When the flour, the maize was never brought, you want children to go to school and they eat what? What will they eat? There is no food in schools in Eldoret. Where will you get the porridge? Where will you get the flour to make porridge? By the way, Miriam, we had forgotten that sector. Most of the food come from Tanzania. Some of these boarding schools buy food in wholesale. Deliveries come, carrots, aubergines.
Not most, Doctor, not most of this food comes from Tanzania.
No, some of the school, the minister yesterday, Madam, you have forgotten that the minister of locusts and who said the locusts are pregnant?
The Ministry of Agriculture, the CS for Agriculture.
Munya. The minister Munya told us Kenya does not have enough food.
Yeah, in terms of maize, yes.
Not in terms of maize, in food security.
Food security and
mentioned the carrots. You mentioned the onions, that if we close the Tanzanian border,
we are going to starve.
Where trucks bring this food into Mombasa.
Yeah, I still refuse. I think maybe I'm just living in oblivion. I still refuse that in my mind. And it's a shame. Maybe because I'm ashamed that Kenya, 21st century, we are not food secure. So, yeah.
With due respect, Baba.
I did. I listened. I watched it, yes.
Say, your Muse, the husband works in Mombasa. Or whatever.
Don't do that.
Oh, no, let's leave it that way, but works. You have also been in Mombasa.
Don't do that.
No, you have been in Mombasa. Where does that food come from? Is there a garden in Mombasa? The food comes from Tanzania, in Lunga.
Yes.
Those onions.
The coastal area, yes.
Okay, let me say for me, I have friends like a Joe. Let me use my example. Mr. Joe is my friend. And every time I'm in Mombasa, he passes by the hotel where I am. And we have discussed several things. Then he said, Matanga, we don't have food here. Food comes from across Taveta, where Naume Shabani is. Food comes from there. From where? Tanzania. Across. If you look at the weather pattern of across Tanzania in Taveta, and the weather pattern of this way, in the sisal plantations of Taveta, where the DP has grabbed another huge land there. And he's trying, the guy likes land. What? This way. Mjamana penda.
Tembea Kenya, I mean.
You know, they say
the constitution allows us to own.
Yes, they say Etaka,
yes.
Muntaka, Efufu, Mufufu. What do you say in Luo?
Tembea Kenya.
And are you in Luya?
Something like Kenda Kenya.
Have you seen that? No, I am trying to say the last thing that makes me Tembea Kenya.
Yes, Tembea Kenya. Every part of the country, yeah. The constitution, doctor, allows.
You know, there is no time when a headline is not made of somebody, something to do with Iran. Surely, what is this? Where we cast on land?
But
now, if you look at the situation today in Kenya.
Yes, the food that is coming from Tanzania. But it's a good thing the president talked about it, so we are hoping that will not be a problem anymore. I'm happy they took the diplomatic, route, and they're solving it, because that was a very small problem that should not really put us in a bad place. I'm happy that has been sorted. So now they can continue bringing the food. But Kenya Ministry of Agriculture, please.
I want to apologize publicly to Miriam.
Yes.
I was meaning to say we who work in that place, yes. Don't worry about that. It was a slip of tongue.
So doctor, it's a good thing now. We'll have the President Kenyatta and Magufuli had a conversation, which is what should have happened from the start. So I'm happy that has been solved, and now we don't have to worry about starving. But doctor, it really bothers my mind, because Uganda is food secure. Kenya, we have a very good weather. We can be food secure. And when you hear all these cartels, stealing money that is meant to be helping our farmers buying their crops, they discourage Kenyans who are very hardworking and would want to go into farming from, continuing with that. And now we're here saying we don't have food. I think that is the part that really, just as a Kenyan, bothers me a bit.
Miriam, I think...
Yes.
You haven't heard the news story.
Is it a shocker? Should I hold my clutch, my pulse?
Kenyans lorries were impounded in Kampala by a man called a very cantankerous man of Museveni.
When was that?
A few days ago.
Carrying what?
Called Kakoza Mutale. Very dangerous killer. He has slaughtered so many people. And they took all the number plates of Kenyan drivers who were carrying carrots. You can imagine how serious this situation is. Pineapples, yes. Because at the moment, Uganda is lacking pineapples. The pineapple from Fika are the one feeding Uganda. So Kenyan businessmen, a fleet of about 60 cars, 60 trucks from Kenya, from that farm, those farms in Fika.
Yes.
Businessmen bought their pineapples, took them to Uganda. Mr. Kakoza Mutale started removing number plates.
What was the problem?
The drivers made a strike. Said, what problem have we got?
Yes.
Why are you removing our number plates? The president heard about it and ordered those number plates and ordered Mukasa, this stupid man who has always tarnished the name of the government, every government, to put the number plates back.
Was he fired?
No, he's not employed.
Ah, okay. He's a
He's a
community
cartel.
worker.
Aha!
It's
The head of mafia. You know the head of mafia.
Daniel, you know him?
Miriam, that's not
I've heard about it, but I'm not so familiar.
You go back and read this story.
Okay.
Mafia is growing. You are coming to South Sudan.
Yes.
I believe you are not going to miss the point where a mafia group from Kenya and Uganda have taken something that heals COVID-19 in its SIM card.
Okay.
Can I show you the picture? Can I send the picture to Stephen?
Yeah, send it to Stephen, but my tablet here is off.
It is very devastating. It will devastate your heart.
Doctor, you've talked about that story. Can you explain it? I have not really understood it. So what is happening?
Hey! First of all, you know, I'm talking until my throat is going. But don't worry. I am forwarding the story to Stephen. And let Stephen now show that. That's virus removing card. And that virus removing card, the story goes like this. Cartels and the conmen from Uganda and Kenya, big hot cartels and the mafia have taken advantage of COVID-19 in South Sudan. The mafia and the cartels are at work in South Sudan where they are doing the wrong things. They have got a card like this. It is here, but it's coming on the screen. I've sent it to Stephen. There is that as if it is medicine well packed, and they have packed it sealed. You can even tell the first one that when you do like this, have you seen this? Angalia hapo. That's the one. That when you swipe it here, the chest, it removes
COVID.
But how gullible are these South Sudanese leaders? Because I understand yesterday also.
If you have studied mafia, you don't even need to believe them or to disapprove them.
I think those are just, a few comments.
They come and manipulate you.
Yeah.
And you fall in the trap. They even bring a person. They bring a person who is. Haven't you seen pastors who tell us you have risen somebody from walking who was broken legs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'm very So this made me to write about mafia today. Be careful about this Italian operation. This card came from Italy because people were using the Italian mafia that there is medicine you don't need. So people started working with their chest in Italy. Initially, hii kitu ilikuja iliwagonga. So that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. They don't send our children to school. Teachers who might be mafia, who steal exams, can steal this card and tell the children that don't worry, don't wash your hands. This one, child comes home, is sick, is dead. Don't.
And I believe, Dr. Matsanga, in South Sudan, the leadership, the top leadership, as I read yesterday, the top leadership took this bait, both a string, hook, and sinker. So, like, they took it as the gospel truth, and majority of them have really already fallen to that trap and bought the card. So it's really incredulous to imagine that this could happen.
You know that this card is costing Marwar. Mr. Marwar is online. Mr. Emmanuel Marwar, this card is costing, do you know, $2,000.
South Sudanese are rich people, man. $2,000 for a card.
Yes. $2,000. That's 200,000 shillings. And you are adding injury, stress to your life. So what about in Kenya here? where the population, where police don't see until you expose a crime of Mr. Echesa selling an empty catch of a ship full of grenades. Have you seen how mafia operate? You can't sit down and say, there was nothing that was being sold. You can't even think of the price. How do you know the price of the guns? How? How do you know the specifications? You must be a mafia. You must be an Italian mafia to know the specifications. For people to allow this thing to happen in Kenya, nyenye wa Kenya mchunge kabisa, mchunge hii kitu. There's silent mafia operating here. And if you think Matanga is wrong, very soon you'll see the results. How can a full plane, Miriam, crash in to Ghana? Pilot is buried. No investigation was conducted. 4 Americans perished. So I am a bad loud mouth. Okay, God help me, God.
No, it's good. It's good, Dr. Matsanga, sometimes to point out things that really raise questions in the society.
Daniel.
And
Miriam, have you seen where we are going?
Yes, but I wanted us to. Yes.
If you leaders in South Sudan, where you are going to bring this topic,
so that we can finish with it and you know. Look.
But answer me this question.
Yes.
A small helicopter in Britain lands and kills even a snake on the ground. Investigations will be thoroughly done.
Yes.
But here, a helicopter killed a very senior pilot with 4 American lives. No investigations were conducted.
The last I heard, the investigations were ongoing. So maybe I don't know where they are right now, but the American embassy came out and said they will investigate because their people died.
American embassy has no record. Doesn't know whether those guys were Americans or another mafia group.
You never know. America works very silently when they're looking up for information. Yes.
They can take it, but let's not divert from the topic of our children.
My point exactly. So let's come back.
End it.
Yes.
End it.
Yes.
That is a topic for another.
So South Sudan. All right, guys. South Sudan revealed plans. Yes. South Sudan.
And Miriam.
Yes. Please
end the topic officially.
We are looking at the last country because we're looking at the East African country. So South Sudan was the last country. Yes, and South Sudan revealed plans to roll out distance learning programs on the radio for children out of school due to the outbreak of coronavirus. Awut Ndeng Achuil, Minister of General Education and Instruction, said that distance learning programs will be supported by partners such as United Nations Children's Fund and Girls Education in South Sudan, an initiative supported by the British government. Achuil disclosed that the program will help deliver lessons on core subjects such as English, mathematics and science over the radio to cover at least the majority of learners in rural areas. So South Sudan there seems to be having a plan. I just don't know how effective this plan will be for South Sudan, but they're not planning to open the schools yet.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Yes, you know I have a lot to say, but go ahead.
From Juba
yes.
to Rikwamba is 1,200 miles. From Juba to Yambio, which is Democratic Republic of Central African Republic, across, is about 1,500 miles. From Juba to Jongole, or from Juba to Abyei, is almost 2,000 miles. If you enter Sudan airspace, you run for 2.5 hours by a jumbo jet. or 3 hours before you arrive Khartoum. But when you enter the airspace of Sudan, where Sudan and Egypt meet, it is almost 4 hours to reach Nairobi. So you tell me how this distance is going to work.
Distance learning in the radio. They've said through the radio.
Yeah, it can. I think these ones have. Wanafikiria mzuri. I think radio, yes. But do we have radio frequencies?
Yes.
Do those radios, are they picked in Jonglei? Are they picked in Abyei?
Good question.
In Bahazel? In Darfur? Can you transfer yourself from Juba to Bahazel region to Yambio? Which frequency are you using? Those are the questions. So that one is also like a closed chapter. People are just going to hammer this money from the British government. Hey, Africans, they know how to make money, I'm telling you.
Oh,
they are now
so now you've lost confidence here. I was just listening, because one thing I know, even their communication system there in terms of broadcasting is really underdeveloped. So is this going to be comprehensive?
They can't even read the news beyond 10 miles.
Oh, the Minister of Communication fired a director of the South Sudan Broadcasting Corporation because they could not say his name right. They cannot pronounce, I don't know, it's just, but the infrastructure there in terms of communication is very underdeveloped. So I don't know if maybe some students might be disadvantaged.
Have you ever listened to the Minister of Uganda, Nabakoba, when she's speaking? You might think she's a village calico.
But she's smart. You know how you speak sometimes does not... Is...
No.
The Minister of what? What ministry does she head?
ICT and...
ICT?
And the National Guidance.
Okay, well...
Nabakoba. She was a former police.
Oh, okay.
You know, I told you in your country, corruption is spread. Uko, ours is centralized. You have to marry someone who has married someone, who is known to someone, to marry someone. Then you can get a loan of 500 million.
Or get appointment that you don't even deserve. Okay.
Kajob.
Yes.
Today I am on Friday. You must be a bit comic. Kajob katogo. Miriam, it makes journalism. You have to have this sense of humor. Before you get a job in Uganda, you must have someone who knows someone somewhere who speaks that language.
Okay.
Then by 11 o'clock,
you'll have the job.
The letter of appointment
will have arrived. Even before you, even if you did not even apply for that job.
So there you are. Mulinya lya Katonda. No mwana, no mwoyo mutukuvu.
Amina. All right. So, of course, concerns have also been raised regarding how learners from those areas who attend schools in other parts of the country would travel and how their interaction with others would impact the measures to stop the spread of the coronavirus. So these are things that the Ministry of Education and indeed the government of Kenya has to look at even after Kenyans complete submitting their ideas today. And so the government will look at this, and I'm sure the government of Kenya will make a decision that will be right for the people of Kenya, for the children of Kenya. And so I have confidence that, the government will not open the schools prematurely. I have confidence in that. Magufuli, go ahead. I mean, we are not coming there anyway. Yes. All right.
I don't know what about Songa. And we have been postponing your show of Africa something. diaspora.
We've covered, we've talked about Africa so much. But maybe I could just go through it quickly, a few, so that maybe.
I don't want to postpone your show. No, you woke up so early with this show.
I prepare them every day. Trust and believe. In Malawi, the head of.
I'm ready.
The head
as
of.
Long as, listen, Miriam, as long as you don't touch mafia.
All right.
If you touch,
I don't. Yeah. Look, I don't even have the energy to run away from the mafia. So let's just go to Malawi, where the head of the Malawi's Electoral Commission has resigned a month before presidential election rerun.
That's very good.
That's good.
What Malawi? This Malawi of Lilongwe? The Malawi of Lilongwe, this is the one you are saying. Can I tell you, Miriam? There is no Malawi. There is only George Soros. Thank you.
All right. And in Burundi, the vote counting is ongoing. I don't know how many people are there in Burundi, but the vote counting is ongoing, and we're hoping to see who Burundians will elect as the new president.
What count? Which votes?
The votes that were cast on Wednesday.
Quickly, that one we pass. There is no election in Burundi.
All right. And now Madagascar, President Andry Rajoelina says Madagascar will sign a confidentiality clause with the World Health Organization on the formulation of the COVID organics, the purported cure for the coronavirus pandemic. He disclosed this after a teleconference with World Health Organization boss Tedros Adhanom on Wednesday. He also said the World Health Organization has agreed to support the country's clinical observation process. Why do they keep saying? Why does AU, World Health Organization, and South Africa, these other countries, they'll want to test. They'll want to test. This is nearly two months. Why are they not testing? This could be the solution to the problem you're facing right now. Why are they just buying time, not wanting to test this medicine from Madagascar? But now, Rajoelina has said if World Health Organization will take this and go test it, then they have to sign and agree that the formula, they have patented, the formula for this COVID organic. Do you think the World Health Organization will test this medicine from Madagascar, really?
Miriam, do you know why Africa was called a darker continent?
We're black?
Dark.
We're black and dark, all right. Okay.
A darker continent. Because the white man did not see anything good coming from us. That's the ideology they have. And mainly like Dr. Tedros, who grew up in London, studied in Nottingham Hospital, also equally took the same heart that anything that comes from the continent of Africa has to undergo clinical test. So tell me how many vaccines that you have gone under clinical test that you always buy in containers coming from Europe? None. You only assume they are very good. And we started swallowing them. We swallow. Poop, poop, dawa. Go to this chemist here. Any chemist. People start buying the medicine because it is made in Germany. Nataka ile dawa ya Germany ile. Unajua ilifanywa namna gani? But if you tell him go and drink this yummy thing, the yummy fruit from Madagascar, yummy. I'm told it is very yummy but very sour.
It is not a fruit.
It is a liquid.
It's a plant, yes.
Yeah, but it's now turned into a liquid. That when you drink it, you have to prepare several toilet papers and so on. So it becomes clinically not, you know what disturbs the Mzungu? Is to waste much time in the toilet. But an African, we don't waste much time in the toilet. So at the medicine of Walete,
okay,
bring it here. Bring it. Na sisi tujaribu wenyewe. Tugonge hii kitu. You will see the numbers. Today we might have a shocker. The number could be 90. Are you also having the sense that the number is not going to recede anymore?
We are, it appears as though we're just climbing our peak right now.
Yes. So why don't we try something that could reduce the number? By the time we go for this testing, hii kitu imetoka. Wacha turarue liquid hii. Kuja.
They're buying too much time. Yeah, World Health Organization and AU and this, they're buying too much time, and I think they're just playing, games here.
I don't know why President Uhuru Kenyatta has not sent a plane
to get us
to go and apply this liquid.
We need it tested first.
Your Excellency, no, we don't need
and
to
its
test.
Efficacy tested.
Your Excellency, try us this liquid now, Baba.
Bring it to Cambridge. Let's see.
Cambridge,
yes.
Yeah.
At Cambridge.
Come in a fit human consumption.
I don't know if we have the capacity, but I think we do. Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4 now. 4 Zimbabweans have called me. They are all right. Even speaking better than David.
Okay.
Waligonga hiyo kitu. It is very good. Yes, it has no headache, no side effect. Songa, put on your microphone.
Okay. And Doctor, I forgot, in Burundi, the opposition leader has come out to claim a victory already there. And the Electoral Commission has said the official results will not be out until Monday. But the opposition leader has come out there and said, I have won. His name is Agathon Rwasa. He's saying, you know what, I've won this election. So we are seeing, are we likely to see chaos?
My sister, I tell you to prepare a bloodbath.
Yes, a bloodbath in Burundi. I pray not.
Grenades will start flowing. In fact, the paramount leader might be thrown out.
The paramount leader.
So Tanzania should take more troops there, which I believe they have taken. That's bloodbath. There's no election there. Next.
And of course, President Salva Kiir in South Sudan has officially returned to his vice president Riek Machar after reports emerged that he had been infected by COVID-19. In the May 20th letter, part of it reads, "It is my hope and my prayer that each new day brings your excellency and the rest of your comrades closer to a full and speedy recovery." There, a lovely letter there from President Salva Kiir to his nemesis, Vice President there, Riek Machar. And of course, here we also wish them a very quick recovery.
They are all my friends. Angelina, the children, Dr. Riek Machar, those are my friends.
Michael Makuei also, remember the one who resigned from communication minister after the signing of the peace deal.
Yes, I don't know.
They had lied.
Yeah, I know Makuei. So all of them,
He also
I pray for.
Yes.
Just get out of this thing. Hope you rise up and we make it better. You are my people forever in Africa. You brought us peace in our country. Although my money was never paid, I'm still...
Doctor, and
yes.
And you think the only money has been lost. Somebody else also lost a huge amount of money from their bank account, and that is the son of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He said that a sum of about $800,000 has gone missing from his accounts at a commercial bank in the capital of Monrovia. What is wrong with missing money at Liberia?
Miriam, the question should be, what was the source of that amount of money, such a big amount of money?
800,000, that's a lot of money. Where did he get
missed in his account? Somebody withdrew it without his knowledge from his account.
Yeah, what about the money that was taken in knowledge?
Yeah, the question shouldn't be who took the money, but where did he get such amount of money?
Where did he get the money?
Maybe he's a businessman.
The mother, no.
The son mother, of Sir Johnson Sirleaf.
One of the most strict ladies on this continent.
Ellen, yes.
Yes, how did he get that money?
Maybe he's doing well.
In a country that lacks even a toilet.
They have toilets, doctor. But
where?
800,000.
Have you ever been to Monrovia?
No.
That toilet come time for you. You see how suffer. The heat there is on Atlantic Ocean is so hot. Asking me who has been there. Toilets are smaller things there. Now they have not built a toilet and someone has accumulated 800,000. Mafia.
So here's the twist, though. Mr. Sirleaf, that is the son of Johnson Sirleaf, is said to have discovered the disappearance moments after corruption charges were dropped against him last week. So he had corruption charges in court. So after those charges were dropped, he went to check his account and he found 800,000 shillings was less. Was
Yeah, they have taken it. The mafia. I have told you, mafia never wrote anything this morning. And I told you, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I was not targeting anybody. But the mafia in this world
yes.
is very powerful.
All right.
Now, today, hey.
I'm done on my part.
I'm also, hey.
Daniel, maybe you could give us your passing short.
I have
Yes,
not.
Yes, I believe.
You tell me they stole this money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then the government, before it dropped the charges, the government made sure that it takes the money. That's to save the name of the former president.
Mm-hmm.
It is the mother who did the deal.
No. Liberia is going through very tough times.
Oh, that woman is very bad. We flew with her from Nairobi.
Ellen.
Sababa. We sat on the same row, of course, in business class. And I'm a man from the lake, near the lake. I don't want to say I sit in this stupid economy. Stocks economy is for people. Did I create a class? I never created a class. Jesus created it.
So you sat near her, and then what happened?
Hey! She lectured to me.
She's a smart
how
lady.
How Africa should look like. In my heart, I said, what? Even this suit I'm wearing, if I'd been in Accra, in Liberia, I would not wear it. She told me that her dress, she had taken 5 years. She has about 7 of these, and she changes them. She has no desire for new things. I said, Liberia, iko shida.
No, I think you get to a place where you're at peace, where things like dresses and stuff are not really the priority. You're okay. Look at Manu Chandaria. The guy, the billionaire that he is, only has 3 suits and 5 shirts. I mean, it gets to a point where those things don't really matter, really. Material things are just, there are more important things in life. So she has arrived there, and that is a wonderful place to be at. Well, we can all arrive there. Even this theft that we see in this country can be, cannot be as rampant. So, Daniel, your parting shot as we conclude the show today.
Yeah, I think we've had a very constructive debate, quite fierce, but a lot of sense has come out of it. And I would really like to thank Dr. Matsanga for the insight that he has brought on board, and also you, Miriam, for being part of this constructive debate. And I believe the bottom line is that we are not ready as a country to open up the schools. And that is in the best interest of our children who are still at home. It's better if they stay at home and be safe rather than pushing them at the edge of the cliff by purporting to want to open the schools, which could turn out to be disastrous. So that is my parting shot. And I think as even the committee on the overseeing the reopening of the schools meets today, they'll put that into consideration.
All right, thank you very much there. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you for your time. Doctor, as we conclude. I don't think Doctor is... Are you there?
51 senators. 51 senators have endorsed the motion.
The removal of Kithure.
So why are they wasting time to discuss? Because 51 minus 67, it leaves how many people?
About 6.
9?
51 and 57.
Leaves 16.
Ah, okay. Or 67, sorry.
So the number required to stop the motion, 23. If Kindiki has 23 senators, he could survive. But 51 senators are already signed the motion.
So the goose is already cooked there for Kithure Kindiki there.
And I don't want to say things here. Yesterday, I want to take this opportunity to apologize to the public of Punchline that I read a news item as an economic recovery team, which was wrong. Somebody wanted to spread and something which was not very correct. I want to apologize on behalf of our listeners that list is not correct. My researcher, the man in charge of my research, brought us different things without my verification. But we later on withdrew it quickly before it could go further. And yesterday, the station was closed. Therefore, I would not have made an apology. That list or the names that were said to have belonged to Dr. Amolo Odinga, Raila Amolo Odinga, is not correct list. It is a fake list that is being circulated by Ruto's people. So maybe they wanted to dupe us into chaos. We are sorry for that inconvenience. However, it might not be very far from what the smell. You know, they say there is no smoke.
How about leave that, because yesterday we made that announcement here, I think, and yes, that was misinformation, which doctor has apologized for. Now let's stop speculating, and after the government gives the official names, what we know right now is that President Uhuru Kenyatta has formed the economic recovery, and inside what you were reading, the money, about 554 billion Kenya shillings post COVID-19 stimulus package, but he has not constituted a team to spearhead that, and he will, and when he does that and communicates that, then we shall communicate the right people who have been put in charge in that. Okay.
So that's it. I just want also to wish you the best until we meet. Don't miss our cooking lessons tomorrow.
All right.
At 6 o'clock.
Okay.
The kitchen will be on fire. And the menu is fish. 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 Mm-hmm. And guess what? With what? Cassava. Isn't it a good meal, Miriam?
I don't know how you eat that. Fish and cassava.
Okay. Fish and
Is
ugali.
it cassava ugali?
No.
Okay. Or just cassava on the side?
Yeah. The side,
okay.
We shall have cassava.
Or the side dish. Okay.
On the side, 1 piece, 2 pieces with greens.
All right. And the fish.
But the main will be fish.
With the fish. Ah, sounds good.
There will be 2 types of fish that I'm cooking tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Deep fried and gravy fish.
Oh, that's good. Sounds good.
I might do better than some ladies from Rwan.
Sawa. Good luck with that.
Thank you,
our viewers. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You, doctor, let me make it very clear. You cannot beat me in cooking. I'm a certified chef. So let's not even go there. You can. You cannot.
Let it cost 1.9. Get out.
I take my time.
The studio.
I take my time.
Doctor, if Miriam wants to challenge, maybe we
Give
can.
me a challenge.
Me?
Yeah.
You want to challenge me, Miriam?
My level of cooking, you can't match that. Thank you so much. You see you tomorrow during doctor's cooking, class there.
Now you see, it is Punchline Africa Saturday cooking to teach people how to cook, to teach women men like a Wesonga.
How to cook. Wesonga is okay with takeaway. He's fine with.
No.
No, Daktari. One thing, I'm always the first one to check into that show because
So
there's one or two things I want to learn.
Miriam was the first one the other day.
Same
to even call me to say, please.
You're doing a very good job. Yeah, you're doing a good job. Yes, you are. You're doing a good job. Yes,
Only
you
put
did.
in that flour. The flour is for porridge. He served me.
I did. That I did. You owe me a good lunch.
During this time of stress, Miriam, let me tell you, you people you don't know. That's why people are even wanting their children to get them out of their houses.
Yes.
They want to dump them in primary schools, boarding schools. There's trouble. Very big trouble there.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Join Doctor tomorrow. He makes very sumptuous meals, very nice meals. You could learn something. 6 p.m. East African time. Yes, Wesonga is gone, and also me, I'll be leaving. Our viewers, thank you so much for watching us, for keeping us company since morning. We appreciate. So meet here on Sunday, for another edition of Africa Showdown. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and
Sunday one. Meanwhile, Sunday one, let's look for more presenters. No. More participants. Like our lady is already on board. The lady student of Queen, what kingdom?
No, the Queen's handshake.
Wesonga could give us some light on that. I have no idea. Wesonga,
yes.
Daniel.
Yes.
Daniel.
All right. Thank you. Fine. We will have her on board.
Why are you?
Oh no, I already signed out. Bye. We'll see you on Sunday.
Why are you skeptical?
That is a bad word to use.
You have to bring on the challenge.
I said it will be nice to have her.
Before you go,
yes.
Can I tell you one proverb?
I just want to go fast, and then we can talk.
Another very serious proverb.
After we have said our bye. I already said bye.
An African man whose teeth is blunt would have been sharper when he was young.
Okay.
That is food for thought.
Yeah, clearly.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, Dr. Matsanga. Have a good day.
Miriam, thank you, all of you. Thank you. And by the way, Miriam corrected the thing. My thing, the one for the to see the people watching, it doesn't move.
All right.
So I don't know how many people have been watching there.
Okay, we'll correct that.
This thing here, help me. This one, the bar, you see those here, it doesn't move at all.
That is not how you do it. You sweep it from
like this.
No, from right to left.
From right?
No,
from right to left.
Yes.
Now I haven't seen very many.
Have you seen now? I hope we are.
I have seen, and I have seen. No, I didn't know. It has been stuck on only 2 people. Okay. Your friend is okay. Now it's very good. It's okay. You know, I was born when these things were not around. So I only saw them recently.
All right, we'll see you on Sunday.
Ciao.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.